Why did you make this decision to jump into the governor's race?
You know, I became a pharmacist because I love helping people, and I think that's really at the core of my existence. I just love helping people. That's why I ran for office, and I have continued to do that in the insurance department. It's working in the insurance department. It's really been a great experience, and now this will be able to serve more Kansans, and I think that'd be really great.
There are a lot of people who say they are going to run. What do you believe sets you apart from the others who are in this race?
Well, I've never lost an election, and I don't plan on starting now. You know, we've had a pretty good track record. I have had a really good track record at the insurance department. We've returned over $145 million back to Kansas consumers, and we have decreased the cost of doing business by over $75 million. So I have a record to run on, and I don't think there's anybody else in the race that has a record like that.
Some of your opponents say you are different, not necessarily in a way that they view positively. Scott Schwab, Secretary of State, currently, and his gubernatorial campaign released a statement saying Kansans want a conservative who can win in November, deliver true property tax relief, and help our shrinking rural communities. And former Governor Jeff Colyer said, "Welcome to the race, Vicki Schmidt. Never Trumpers deserve a candidate too." How do you respond to that? They are saying you're not conservative. Where do you put yourself on that conservative spectrum?
I really don't care how you classify me or how anybody classifies me. I don't like to put people in a box. I don't think people like being in a box. I don't. What I do know is that I'm a candidate that can win. I have won in the last two statewide elections. I have had the most votes of any candidate on the ballot, regardless of what office they've run for. Kansans have proved that I'm electable. They have also, I think they trust me, and they have faith that I have what it takes to lead the state. So I don't really care what people classify me as.
But are you, and in Republican primaries, this has become a theme, are you conservative enough? The Republican Party base that participates in primaries, the state went for Donald Trump in the presidential elections. It could be argued there's a conservative bent here. And are you a Republican that appeals today?
If someone would say that I was not conservative by saving businesses $75 million in the cost of doing business and returning over $145 million back to Kansas families, I don't know what the definition of conservative is. When I started at the insurance department, just like I would do if I was elected governor, started and we went to a top to bottom review of every process we had, of everything we did. And the wrong answer was, we've always done it this way. You know, why do you do this? Oh, we've always done it that way. No, we took a look at that and we found a lot of efficiencies that I could talk about all day, but we have found a lot of efficiencies. But more importantly, we now serve Kansans better than we did when I first came to this office. And I don't know what the definition of a conservative is if it isn't someone that has taken on a job like that.
Sounds a little bit like the legislature's COGE approach that they took this year with the Committee on Governmental Efficiency. Do you necessarily disagree with that approach? Is it actually something that can be effective? And is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes, I think, you know, government efficiency for me is not just a talking point. It's an operational mandate. And I believe I was Doge before Doge was Doge.
Let's talk about another statement that came out today for Kansans for Life. They called you, and I want to make sure I get the wording correct. They said you have the worst record on life of any Republican to ever seek office in Kansas. They did cite where you said don't put you in a box. They talked about your break from the Republican Party in the Senate when you opposed a bill blocking taxpayer-funded abortions and a bill limiting live dismemberment abortions. Your reaction, I mean, was that your record? And how would you classify your stance when it comes to those issues?
Well, what I would say is that the Supreme Court sent that issue back to the states, and I think rightfully so. It gave every state has an opportunity to express where they want to be on that issue. I do not believe in abortion on demand like far left might believe. I do not believe, I do believe in reasonable exceptions, and I think that that is where most Kansans are. And we had a vote on this, And we now know it is not an issue anymore. We voted on it, and that is where the issue is at.
The public constitutional amendment.
The public constitutional amendment.
Another key issue for the legislature that Governor Kelly has supported is Medicaid expansion, and that obviously has not happened. You've been a pharmacist, you've worked in healthcare. What is your stance when it comes to Medicaid expansion?
Well, I think that's a moot point also, because I think the viability of Medicaid expansion is not clear yet with the new administration and with the new Congress. There's a lot of moving parts with that. I think the real tragedy here in Kansas has been that for the last 10 years, the leadership of both the House and the Senate have not allowed any health care bill to pass across the floor because they haven't wanted to have the discussion on the floor. And so we have had 10 years of not really talking about health issues for Kansans. I'm talking about rural health, I'm talking about health in urban areas. I mean, health in general. We've not really had a discussion on that, and I think that's really been a problem.
What things need to change, and can they change? You mentioned the current administration, which has put some funding mechanisms into question. So what can change, and to what extent should Kansas explore if we can afford some of these things, regardless of what the federal government is doing?
Well, I think that will depend on what the budget looks like, and how we will work with how I would work with the legislature to get those things done, and to get. I mean, I'll work with anybody if it's going to make a life of Kansans better. I think that's what the governor is supposed to do. The governor is supposed to make sure that that people have a good life here, and that they're able to succeed. Government should work for the people, not the other way around. And I think any governor should lay out a plan to make Kansas life better. And I can tell you, I am the only candidate in this race that has a proven record to do this. The others don't have a record of doing that.
What would be number one priority, day one?
Making the best life for Kansans, starting in day one, and doing what we did with the insurance department, going through everything that we do and looking at it and evaluating it and seeing where we can make it better.
Very good. Those are all the questions.